Hi, everybody, and welcome to our latest edition of Podium Picks. Sean Woodland and Tommy Marquez inside the Working Against Gravity studios. This week, we actually have competition to talk about, so we're going to be doing our Podium Picks for moments from stage one of the 2020 Reebok CrossFit Games, and there were plenty to choose from. Before we do that, we want to thank our presenting sponsor for this episode, Working Against Gravity.
Oh, yeah. Working Against Gravity has been such a loyal supporter of our show, and we absolutely love them. Their online nutrition coaching, the educational opportunities around the nutrition, which is such a huge factor within our community, and it's something that really resonates with us through and through. They just launched their WAG Certified Nutrition Coach program that'll be opening up on October 7th. The registration will be open at workingagainstgravity.com. You can get their certification. You can also reach out and sign up for their personal nutrition coaching. Something that I've done for about 4 years now. What that entails, 100% customized nutrition plan, formal check-ins with your coach to go over progress, make adjustments, unlimited messaging with your coach as well, education strategies and ideas to help you work through those challenges. On top of that, in their portal, they use, which is called Seismic, which is their own custom-built portal. It has listed weekly challenges, mindfulness practices, a whole holistic approach to nutrition, thousands of hours of research that they basically provide at your fingertips, as well as at their fingertips, as well as a supportive members only Facebook group. And all of that is incorporated in their online nutrition coaching program. And if you want to check it out, use the code ELITE50 when you go to workingagainstgravity.com to sign up, and you get $50 off that first month. So great reason to try it. Dial in your nutrition. I know we're all getting to that time when maybe being able to kind of track things around the holidays could be a little bit more beneficial. So go check it out, workingagainstgravity.com.
All right. We also want to thank our sponsor for today. We're going to give our rundown of our top, in the spirit of Podium Picks, our top hours of sleep for the month for Whoop, for our Whoop group. So if you're not on our Whoop group and you have a Whoop and you want to get on the team, you go into your settings, you click join a team, and then you'll enter the code TALK-FIT. Both words are capitalized, and FIT has 2 T's. So it's TALK-FIT. FIT has 2 T's. And then we do this every week on Podium Picks. We run down our top, maybe even the bottom sometimes, but our top performers this week in hours of sleep for the month so far.
So hours of sleep for the entire month of September. We're getting towards the end here. Number one overall on the Talking Elite Fitness Whoop group is Nicole Wojciechowski at 9 hours and 23 minutes. Number 2, Emily Kramer at 9:05. Number 3, Aaron Ogier at 8:49. Aaron Zim is number 4, 8:43. Number 5 is Lauren W., 8 hours and 41 minutes. Number 6, Angela McLeod, 8:41. Number 7, Sophie Straith, we've said her name before, 8:39. Andrew Muntz, 8:37. Number 9, Carly Dominguez, 8:36. In terms of hours of sleep. And last but certainly not least, Courtney Heath, 8 hours and 34 minutes of sleep on average for the month of September. Basically, all of these top 10 have 99% or higher for the average month of September. Super impressive. Share your wise ways with us with how you get the most sleep, guys.
So I gotta up my sleep game. That was some impressive performances there. Okay, speaking of impressive performances, Tommy, we had plenty this past weekend in stage one, the virtual stage of the 2020 Reebok CrossFit Games. So we're going to give our Podium Picks, including our Spirit of the Games and our Dark Horse awards. So would you like to begin, or should I begin? I can never remember. It's only a week, and that's how terrible my brain is I can never remember who started.
I'll start.
Do you want to go?
Yep.
You have the honors, my
friend.
Yes,
I think you started last time.
Okay,
so we'll
go for it.
So my Spirit of the Games is Griffin Raleigh's 490 front squat, just because in the end, it wasn't really a factor in the overall placement. But one of the things that everybody just gets fired up for at the games is to have that Disney moment lift, that heavy lift that everyone just gets pumped up for. It's one of the hallmarks of the CrossFit Games every year, regardless of what goes on, is seeing the heavy lift. Last year, the heavy lift event, the clean, basically provided one of the best moments of all time in CrossFit Games history. And it's one that was actually crucial to the overall placements. But this time we got to see something new, a front squat. I put a tweet out there. Basically, how many people did we think would break the 405, 275 barrier? And what would be the top overall front squat, over under 450 and I believe 300, maybe 310. Some people maybe were like, I don't know. In private, we're like, I don't know if your predictions are going to be all right. But I said at least half the field for the men would break the 400 barrier, and we got 14. So missed it by one spot.
Close enough.
And I said for women, I think I said 8 would be over 275. Let's see. What do we got here? 9. No. Nope. Right. Maybe I said 280. Maybe it's 280. But 8. Yeah, over 280. And 12 over 275. So not too bad.
It's like you know what you're talking about.
But it was just fun to see that max lift in a different capacity. We get to pull from the rack. We don't have the Olympic lift. And a 490 front squat is just absurd. When Matt Fraser calls you out on that lift, like, dang, dude, that's legit. You done good, kid.
All right. So Griffin Raleigh's 490 is your spirit of the games. Okay.
My dark horse is Roman Krennichoff's event win in the 1K
that's a
row.
Good one. That's a good one. I forgot about that. Yeah.
The Mad Russian gets to finally compete at the CrossFit Games, gets his first event win. And this is why it's impressive. The world record, which was set recently for the men's 1K row, basically the heaviest that's ever been done. Got it right here.
And this is on a C2, so everyone knows.
This is on a Concept 2 rower, yes. No, it's not uploading. I had it. I want to make sure I get his name right.
But he pulled like a 124 average. That's insane.
So it was Maciejewski from Poland who rode a 241. Oh, no, never mind. Sorry, that's wrong. Sam Locke, 239. So that was set recently in that age division for that weight class.
Okay.
For the men's heavyweight weight class, I believe in 2017. And the world champion was 242 this past year. Roman Krennichoff's a few seconds off.
I know. That's insane.
For someone who doesn't row like competitively, doesn't have the technique or the time spent on the C2, who literally just blinded himself and went after it.
Dang.
I'd say that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Well, when I heard that it was a 124 pace for the entire time, I went, man, I know how I feel when I hold like a 135 for just 500. Ouch.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah. The lowest score ever that's been verified by a PM monitor is 239. Ooh. With the most recent one happening at 241.5. That was this year. That's the fastest time this year. And Roman's not far off.
He is not. That's incredible. It just shows you, we say this all the time, like just how good CrossFitters are if you just, throw something at him and give him, he's rode before, obviously, so he has some proficiency in it, but man, cooking.
Full send.
Yes. Well, those are good. So I'm going to start with my spirit of the games, and I'm going to give it to just, I don't know who would be the recipient of this, but I'm going to give it to the event itself and the fact that it actually happened. Because 4 weeks ago, this whole thing was just an idea on a piece of paper. And I give the people credit who put it together for making it happen. I know it wasn't, if we could all choose how we wanted the games to go down, this would not be it, but I think it was the most equitable and fair way to do it. I think the events were great. They were a really good test. We talked with Pat about that on our show, and it was cool to have him on. But the fact that they didn't want to give up, they wanted to hold something, I think is credit to, Dave and Justin and their crew for just be like, let's just figure out a way to do this. And it was not perfect. And I know there are things that they wish that they could have done better. But the fact that the CrossFit community got to kind of rally around this for a weekend, I'm going to give that whole experience the Spirit of the Games award from my side. So, but my dark horse is also going to go to a non-athlete.
Oh,
my dark horse is going to go to Carolyn Lambre for having the presence of mind to tell Jeffrey Adler to get up and run across the finish line. Because had she not done that, and he spent another second on the floor, he would not be going to Aromas.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, that is, you want to talk about a lifesaver right there, because for those of you who may not have seen some of the events, they actually had a finish line taped. And I think that the barbell had to be 8 feet away from the pull-up bar, and then the finish line was like another, I don't know, 4 or 5 feet away from, anyways, a standard distance. And then when you got done with Friendly Fran, with the pull-ups, you had to sprint across the finish line. Well, Adler hits the deck, and he's like, I'm done. And, you know, he's not done. And thank goodness Carolyn had the presence of mind to say, you got to get across the finish line.
Yeah.
And so he, you know, picked his carcass up off the floor, sprints across the finish line. And that is what saved his spot. So if it hadn't been for some good, quick coaching there, Jeffrey Adler would be staying north of the border when it comes to Aromas.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. That's why, it's funny because I remember originally they weren't going to have like anyone allowed in there, coaches or anything like that. And
whew, thank goodness they did. Buy that woman some dinner for the rest of the year, Jeffrey, because you owe her.
Exactly. That's great.
Yeah.
It's funny. You mentioned about the like CrossFit, just being able to have an event and like staying the course. And it certainly deserves some praise and applause for that reason. And it's funny. It reminded me of one of my favorite movie scenes of all time. And it's an old one, and it's and it perfectly summed up what I thought was some of the robble type criticism that was going on. So many people were quick to jump on CrossFit in the games team for even staying the course.
Yeah.
Like, why are you even holding it?
Yeah.
And then they hold it, and then they're like, well, this isn't what we wanted. And it's like, there's a scene in the famous movie, and it's called Young Frankenstein.
Yes.
Where he reveals the monster for
Frankenstein.
No, it's Igor. When he reveals the monster for the first time. And at the start of it, they're just amazed that he can even like move and like speak. And it just points, this whole scene points to how quickly people become jaded. At the beginning of the scene, they're just amazed that he can move. And by the end, they're booing him and throwing vegetables on stage because he's messing up the tap dance for putting on the Ritz. And it's like, that's
a very good analogy.
That is the classic fandom to a T. Like, like we're mad because you did something we didn't like. Well, now that you did it, we're going to get mad because it's not how we would have done it. Like, come on.
Fans can, they're interested. I have to give an honorable mention to Adrian Bosman and Dave Eubanks, because I think Bos worked a 22-hour shift, and I think Dave Eubanks worked a 26-hour shift. So, thanks, guys.
Yeoman's work.
Yeah. So those are my Spirit of the Games and my dark horse. So maybe I'll bring up Dave and Bos to accept the Spirit of the Games award on behalf of the event.
I like that.
All right.
I like that. All right. Now we're into our top 3, and my top 3 is a pairing. It's a back-to-back, if you will.
Ooh, okay.
Like
I think I know where you're going with this, because I might have this on my list as well.
Okay, it's back-to-back like Kobe and Shaq. Because Lakers won last night. It's Katrin David's daughter and Nasty Nancy in the handstand hold, kicking off Saturday morning. I mean, when your back's against the wall, champions respond in a certain way. They have that resolve and that resiliency. Now, the handstand hold, is going to be great for Katrin. She's going to knock that out of the park. But then to go full send on something like Nasty Nancy, where we were even saying like she's a sneaky good runner when you mix the modalities, but how does she move the barbell relative to the other people? Bar facing burpees she's good at, and she just went there. She went into that place, and she got 200 points out of a possible 200 points to reinvigorate herself, and she rode that wave going forward. I mentioned last night in our show, her scores, at 364 points across the final 4 events, were higher than any athlete in the field. So she closed better than anyone.
Yeah,
and that's important. That is Katrin's best days may be behind her, but it's that. I'm going to use another analogy from the famed country song. It's I ain't as good as I once was, but I'm good once as I ever was. And I think that was the case for Katrin David's daughter. She may not have the same level of competitiveness with Tia across the board, but when she ties one together, she ties one on, it's watch out. And it's enough to keep her in the top 5 for another year, for the 6th year in a row. And she's making a case for Mount Rushmore.
Agreed. No, I think that and I'll talk a little bit when I get to it. This is some of the reasons I'll add to that, but spoiler alert, it's on my list. But number 3 for me is not necessarily one moment. It's an overall performance. And I think what Brooke Wells did this entire competition, if Toomey was not in it, I think we'd be focusing really on Brooke did. Like, just because every time Toomey is in, she wins 4 events out of 7, never finishes lower. Finished 16th in the handstand hold. Okay, fine. It's a skill she might not have yet. But Brooke never lower than 10th, 3/3, 3/5, and an 8th. She was in second place, I think, after the second event. She was second overall. After Damn Diane. So after Damn Diane, after the third event, she moved up to second place, and she stayed there the entire time. And Brooke is an athlete that we were talking about this too on our show. We forget how young she is. She's been on the scene for a while. There was a lot of hype with her when she first came in, and it's kind of like the Frankenstein thing. It's like, you did so well, but now you're not doing as well as we thought you would. Yeah. But she's still doing she's still impressive. Mm-hmm. So I think maybe this now signifies the next step for her. And I am really looking forward to watching her compete in Aromas, because I am hopeful for her sake, because I think she's such a great athlete that, and just a great person, that this is now the time where she takes the next step, and it really gets into that tippy top of, athletes that we consider elite. So Brooke Wells' consistency is my number 1.
Yep.
Or that's sorry, number 3.
Yeah. That's a great one. I mean, just, you look at even the distance between her and Haley Adams, 83 points. Yeah. That's massive.
Right. And not that, considering how Tia Toomey has been just beating the pants off people. She was 35 points back. That seems pretty minuscule, all things considered. So, yeah.
Pretty impressive. Oh, all right. My second place. And there's a theme for my top 2 ones this weekend, because I call them perspective shifters.
Okay.
So it is Matt Fraser in Friendly Fran. And here's why. And actually, I'll save the big picture thing for both of them at the end. But Fraser's time of 3:08 in Friendly Fan. The last time we saw True Fran, show up at the CrossFit Games. 2012. Right? It was the final event that weekend. Classic Fran, just Fran. His time of 3:08 in Friendly Fan would have placed him 7th overall at the Games in Fran. Wow. With a heavier version, more skilled, and the rep count was almost doubled. 36 more reps in a 45 rep workout. That's 80% more reps in the workout. And you finished 7th in a classic benchmark that I would have already said in 2012. Most of the top athletes have kind of capped out because they've almost optimized their strategy for that. And that just goes to show you the order of magnitude that Fraser's fitness carries over to, even in the classic benchmarks, in a way that's, and I think this is the beauty, this is where I'll give Dave credit, is this is the beauty of programming the benchmarks in this manner, is there's enough separation and updating to give the tests relevancy, but there's enough of that core CrossFit spirit in those workouts to give us a mental anchor to just be blown away, right? And
that's incredible.
308. I mean, I got to go back.
I mean, Noah Olson was the next closest guy. What, 355?
Yeah. I mean, almost a minute. Yeah. I mean, that's he's
47 seconds.
Yeah. I mean, he's better than him by like 30% in a workout that already is very quick. I mean, you go and look at the men he would have beaten in Fran that year. Let me find it real quick. Marcus Hendren, top 10. Ben Smith, Austin Maliolo, Matt Chan, Chad McKay, Chris Spieler, Spencer Hendel. I mean, some of the biggest, longest tenured guys that would crush this workout. He only would have finished a few seconds behind Graham Holmberg.
What was it? So before they did Fran, they did Isabel, and then what was the other one?
Elizabeth.
That's right. Okay.
All in the classic sense.
Yeah.
And there was some time because they did cuts after each one for them to recover. Even still, crazy.
That's a good one. Yeah, I didn't realize he beat that many people at the games in 2012. That's nuts. But 308. Okay, so that's number 2 for you. That's a good one. Okay, number 2 for me. I got to look at my list. Number 2 for me is one that you gave the spirit of the games to this one, but I'm going to give it number 2, and that's Griffin Raleigh's 490, because that was the one. And the only reason I probably didn't put it number 1 is for the exact reason you said, is that overall in the competition, it didn't affect a whole lot. Mm-hmm. But my God, 490. I mean, that, you know, that was a number that, like, the other score that I saw that made my eyes do that was the one that was actually incorrect and had to be corrected at the end. And that was Cara Saunders, I think, 703 because of whatever. But that, yeah, I saw 490. I'm like, that cannot be right. Mm-hmm. That's like lifting all the weights. Like, we can't lift anymore because Griffin has all the weights. He's lifting everything. 490.
I don't think I could unrack 490.
No, we were saying, like, can you imagine just what that would feel like? Even just forget the front squat, put that on your back. And what that's going to feel like.
I'm going to get lawn chaired by it.
Oh.
I'd take it off, take one step, and just collapse.
I'd be in traction for like a year, like full body cast, just sitting there, just, I mean, 490. Like it was his job. That kid is strong. That's like, and I'm not going to, it's kind of funny to me that it was Matt Fraser started his ascent when he didn't make it to the games, but he had that huge overhead squat. And we're like, man, that guy's strong.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to wonder, like, Griffin is a hell of an athlete. He was a great receiver at Valdosta State. I think he might be, when he left, he was their all-time leader in, I think, catches and yards, and got scouted a little bit by the NFL. So the kid's got some athletic ability.
Yeah.
He's clearly strong. Someone get a hold of that guy.
In Norway, I remember they did this clean ladder where you had to clean and front squat, but you had to follow the weight jumps,
right?
Like a specific way. And he basically cleared the ladder and won it, and was just like, I mean, he was like cleaning and front squatting like upwards of 360 or maybe 360. And people were like, by the time they got to like the 3rd or 4th bar, depending on where the start point was, their legs were crushed.
Yeah.
He was just like, nah, easy.
Good.
I mean, when he's cleaning 405 at the end of Metcons, like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just got to work on everything else, because other than his first 2 events that were, 9th and 1st, then it was 28th, 22nd, 27th, 30th, 24th. So a lot of room for improvement with Griffin, but man, with that strength, you can just get decent at some of the other stuff.
Oh,
oof. All right. So now we're at number 1.
Yep. That boy's strong.
That's strong.
All right, my number 1 overall, and this is another one, and this follows the same theme of Matt Fraser, and it's Tia Toomey and Diane. So the way her and Matt both just manhandled the benchmarks. They won 7 of the 8 benchmark workouts. Whew. And typically when you get back to that classic CrossFit type stuff, you assume that there's some athletes, because we've seen Matt and Tia excel in the outside the gym type stuff, that you assume that someone's going to clip them somewhere. And I mean, Toomey, her only quote unquote blemish there was in Nasty Nancy, which she was within 10 to 15 seconds of the top time overall and a top 3 finish anyways. But I saw Toomey's Diane, watching you guys report on it. I had to wait a second. Like someone, like that face you make when someone puts like vinegar under your nose. Like, like that's what I did. So to give another comparison, in 2012, Diane was programmed at regionals.
Yeah. And
the deadlift was only 20 pounds heavier for the men, because it's 225, the classic Diane, with easier, non-strict, no
finish line to run across.
No deficit handstand push-ups and no finish line to come across. Now, also take into account that Toomey on average is anywhere 50 to 60 pounds lighter than the average male CrossFit Games athlete. Typically, the standard CrossFit Games athlete is anywhere from 195 to 198 on average. Of the CrossFit Games qualifiers that year, Tia Toomey in Diane with a near identical weight, at least heavier relative, and with deficit strict handstand push-ups, beat Scott Panchik, Marcus Hendren, Chad McKay, Rob Forte, Brandon Swan, Jeremy Meredith, Lucas Parker, Frederick Agidius, Miko Rompa, Numi Katranarson, Orlando Trejo, David Levy, Nate Schrader, Brian Quinlan, Philip Kniep, Austin Malleolo, Daniel Tominski, Spencer Hendel, Gabe Subry, Jory Warren, Brian Diaz, Jason Hogan, Age DeBarto, Brandon Phillips, Guido Trinidad, Matt Chan, John Para, and Jeremy Kinnick.
That's all I got to say about that.
She beat more than half the games field in Diane.
Damn.
And we're not just talking about like regional guys. These are the guys that went to the games.
Yeah, and did very well.
Matt Chan finished second that year. Scott Panchik, 4th. Marcus Hendren, top 10.
Okay, then.
Like, it's insane.
And then give Brooke Wells credit because she was only, what, 6 seconds behind her?
Yes.
Dang.
And that might have been that. And it's funny because Tia takes the cake, obviously, but that was a workout that everyone had circled for Brooke.
Yes, exactly.
And it's funny because I think, you know, her positioning's a little funky because she has the heavy arch in her lumbar on handstand pushups. And there's been drama around her and handstand pushups in the past at the open. But I think when you take the standard, the weird open standard out, and you have a judge just judging lockout and like extension and lockout, she's got the overhead pressing strength. She's great on her hands. She's got the shoulder. She was a gymnast for so long.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that standard I think affects a lot of people just because think about if you were going to do a push press and they said you have to have your hands right here. Well, a lot of taller athletes will be like, I can't push out of this position. Yeah. Like, that's going to mess me up. So, but that's what I like about your picks is you go really in depth. I'm just like, that was cool. I'm going to pick that.
But I agree with you. That was cool.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I guess it's, you know, everything Tia and Matt do. I'm just like, oh yeah, okay, that's amazing. That's amazing. We're used to it. But to put that in perspective, like you just did, man, that makes it even more incredible. So, well, my number one is one that, you know, you've already mentioned, and that is Katrin's comeback on Saturday. And the reason why this was so remarkable to me is that it would have been one thing had Katrin been in person with her fellow competitors and known like, okay, I got to smash these next 2 events to work my way up the leaderboard. And, you know, because that setting then lends itself to, okay, I got to be faster than that person. All right. I'm not fast enough right now. I got to speed up. I can't rest as much. I got to push. Cause you can see where the rest of the field is. The fact that she didn't know where anybody was and she had the ability to go out, especially on Nasty Nancy, and put up an 18-16 is pretty incredible to me. And it's a testament to her mental fortitude and her ability to be like, I know I need to turn it on right now. I'm not sure how hard I need to stomp the gas pedal, but I'm just going to go put it through the floorboard and see what happens. And the fact that she was able to keep doing that throughout the event, unreal to me, because I don't know how you maintain that or pick where you need to be when you don't know where everyone else is. And to know that, all right, we're just going to go full send and then to make it work, I think is a credit to her as an athlete. And then the handstand hold, we talked about this going in. I didn't really know how to pick this one or, you know, who the favorites were. I think you immediately had to look at people who were gymnasts. Carrie Pierce came to mind, and, you know, she did really well in that. She took second. But to put up a 254, and we know Katrin can walk on her hands. Again, incredible not to not know where anybody else is. And if you watch the video, I mean, it's just like, bam. And she just hangs out there for a while, you know?
It's funny. I remember, you know, like in the open announcements and like we're kind of in the pre-show, we're hanging out and, you know, Kiki's doing her thing, like holding handstand contest. There was always the one cue that you could tell when someone was a gymnast that walked up. When they kicked up into the handstand and they did the splits and you were like,
you're a winner. Yeah.
You were winning a free pair of grips. You're winning a case of Fit Aid for sure. Like,
and when to build on that, Adrian Bosman, when he tested this, did the exact same thing. You know, he's a great gymnast.
Yes.
Just split, if you're wondering why, if you're wondering why they do that, I guess what I've been told, I can't do that, is that it lowers your center of gravity and makes it easier for you to hang out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, Katrin's comeback, man, she was, I mean, I basically had her, you know, dead and buried at that point because heading into Nasty Nancy, she was actually, I shouldn't say that, she was 8th after the 1,000 meter row. So, but she went from 22nd to 17th to 8th to 6th to 3rd to 4th.
It felt like when she came back swinging like that, one of my favorite sequences of all time in the women's competition was in 2016 when we had the 3-part workout when it was the handstand walk, the suicide sprint, and the plow.
Yes. Okay.
And Tia Toomey and Katrin traded the overall lead after each event, and it went back and forth.
I remember that.
And Katrin wins the handstand walk, takes it back. Tia wins the suicide sprint, takes it back. Katrin wins the plow, wins it back, and it felt like a prize fight. It felt like Rocky 2.
Yeah. Didn't Katrin like throw up after that too?
She like collapsed and had to be like carried off the field.
Dang. Sled dog, man.
Yeah, crazy. It's that, man, that weird threshold, which there's some great stories from this weekend of people just get like dead after friend. Adam Davidson, you know, shout out to him. Got to hang out with him in China this year. He called for an ambulance, I think.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know if they actually called one, but I think he was like that worried.
Yeah. 911, what's your emergency? We have a case of Fran lung here. What's that? Just trust me, you're going to want to come.
Say no more, fam.
Yeah, make it a silent approach, please. Dang, that's incredible. But yeah, Katrin was, when we did our picks, you know, she wasn't someone I said, okay, she's going to be in the top 5, but it didn't surprise me that she wound up there. So yeah, good on her for making that comeback on the final day. What are some things that maybe you had just on the outside, maybe 4th through 6th on your overall standings here?
I just in general, I called it like the youth movement. So that was Brooke, Sam, Quant, Justin, and Haley, who have a combined average age of 22 years old.
Oh my God. All right.
Pretty disheartening.
Yes. I am more than twice their age.
Yeah.
That's great.
This was a subtle one, but I thought, Justin Medeiros, and this is very specific, the final round of overhead squats in Nasty Nancy, go back and watch it. You can tell he's starting that dangerous wobble that ultimately leads to a failed rep, and he held on for it. Tremendous amount of grit, and ended up being a top finish for him, and phenomenal.
I'm really looking forward to watching him.
Oh yeah,
in person.
Yeah,
like that kid.
I think the closeness of the 5th place bubble race. Yeah, for the women, 5th through 8th separated by 7 points. For men, let me grab it. For men, obviously Chandler Smith was just 2 points back, but then 5th through 9th, 15 points with Vellner and BKG in there as well. Pretty gutsy. Special shout out to the CrossFit subreddit. Sometimes Reddit just knocks one out of the park. Yeah. But there was a thread, anyone else's heartbreaking for Chandler. And the top comment was, I don't mean to spoil anything, but eventually it ends up with Monica during their trip to Ross's wedding in London. So I wouldn't worry so much. And some guy writes, way to spoil the show for me, dude. I've been waiting for the right time to start. Now there's no point. Next reply to that, I guess this hasn't been your day, your month, or even your year, which is the opening to the Friends theme song. And Reddit control better than basically anyone on the planet. It's sometimes you get just those comments that are just pure gold. Oh gosh, I'm like, take my upvote, take my upvote. All right, yeah, I think for me, I was looking at in totality. You called out specific instances of it, but just the domination of Tia and Matt, and it shouldn't be expected, but we're just used to it now. But we still need to talk about how incredible it really is. And again, we talked about this with Pat, but I'm just shocked by the fact that those two continue to get better. And I guess what they're doing is just overshadowing the small gains that the other athletes are making, because no one seems to be improving like this. And the fact that the two of them just keep separating and separating and separating, in the past when a champion has emerged, like a multiple time champion, that gap kind of narrows during his or her reign, and becomes a little more difficult. And that is not the case here. It's just getting easier for them now to just blow the doors off the competition. Yeah. Iron sharpens iron. It does. And, Brian Friend posted what it would have looked like if you just had the top 5 scores. We're kind of touching on when I mentioned yesterday about how Fraser only gave up 3 total events to anyone in the top 5 across all 28 tries. And he would have won by like over 300 points. Yeah, it is a battle for second place when they get to the ranch. I mean, there's no other way for me to put it unless, I don't know,
they're going to do something really screwy there, but who knows? All right.
Yeah.
Well, that was fun. Those are good podium picks. I look forward to doing the second part of this when we actually have an in-person competition and we get to watch the whole thing. It's going to be great. So thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for listening. Let us know what your podium picks are in the comments. We'd like to know what you thought the top moments from stage 1 of the 2020 Reebok CrossFit Games are. For Tommy Marquez, I'm Sean Woodland. Take care of each other, be better, and we will talk to you next time.